What's up, guys? In this video I'm going to talk about my top 3 things that I enjoy the most about living in Colombia. Number 1, I have to say it's the weather and nature. Most of the country is essentially like a huge rainforest. It's filled with trees, mountains, and rivers, except areas close to the coast where it's a bit more tropical, of course. But after living in a place like Texas for a few years where everything is brown, gray, it's dull, I've really come to appreciate nature a whole lot more, especially when it comes to your environment. Just looking around and seeing trees, seeing green, that makes the whole place feel much more alive, and it's something that I personally find very, very enjoyable about Colombia. When it comes to the weather is pretty constant year round. Essentially, it's like weather all year. It's low 70s, mid 70s Fahrenheit most of the year, and occasions it does get a lot of rain, but it's not really that bad. But overall, it's a cool climate. It's not too hot unless if you're not close to the coast. It's pretty chill, pretty calm. You have options to, show off your wardrobe because it does tend to get a bit more chilly at night. But during the day, it's pretty cool enough to where you can walk around and not be drowning in sweat. So that's something that I really particularly enjoy after, again, living in really warm, humid climates like Florida, Texas, or Puerto Rico. So weather is definitely a big pro of the country. Plus, there's not that many natural disasters you have to worry about. You ain't got to worry about hurricanes, ain't got to worry about tornadoes. Sure, there's occasional tremors here and there, but no place is perfect. Overall, it's pretty good weather-wise too. The second thing I love the most about Colombia, I have to say, is the women. As a man, it is very refreshing to live in a place where majority of the women are open and receptive to traditional values. Unlike my experience in the US, where it felt that my whole dating experience was just combating an ideology of women who were resentful against men. That was my experience, at least. But here, it's given me the opportunity to actually experience a very normal dating life. Keep in mind, I do speak Spanish as my first language, so that is an advantage. But I've still seen foreigners who are open to learning the culture and learning the language do pretty well. Also, I am well aware that there is a negative reputation in the country regarding prostitution, and yes, that is a thing. It is pretty common. And there's also cases of foreigners who end up getting drugged and killed. That is also true. But from the time I've been here, I have to say that my observations, certain crowds attract certain crowds. If you're looking for a serious girl, you're not gonna find her at the club at 4 a.m. And that's not just here, that's pretty much anywhere. If you are looking for that type of girl, the type of girl who hangs out at the club 2, 3, 4 a.m., likes to party every day, you definitely expose yourself to that kind of situation. Also, in my experience, I've noticed that the men who tend to fall into those situations, unfortunately, they don't tend to think with the right head, number one. And number two, they are usually the most desperate. What I mean by that is, if you can't get girls in your country, don't expect to come here just because it's a third world country and expect the girls to treat you like a king. That's just naive. Overall, the people who I'm aware of that have gotten into trouble, they just lack basic street smarts, and they're just dumbasses. Nowhere in the world, no sane person would invite a random stranger to their house without meeting them first, without vetting them. That's just me. Maybe I'm paranoid, but I've seen these cases and I'm like, of course. It's like, what did you expect? Of course you were gonna get drugged. Of course you were gonna get robbed. It just makes no sense to invite someone you've never met to your house. Makes no sense. That's one thing. Or a lot of guys get excited because they get approached by a group of girls and they start thinking, oh, like 2 for 1, 3 for 1. That's not how it happens. If it's too good to be true, it usually is. If you have your head screwed on straight, you will most likely avoid majority of those problems. But if you can't control your alcohol, you can't control your urges, and if you're just a dumbass overall, then yes, it's very likely it's gonna happen to you, and that's law of natural selection for you. Okay, that was my tangent rant, but going back to the point, my experience has been very pleasant, has been very positive, and overall it did feel nice to go into an interaction where the opposing party wasn't already coming in with bad intentions just because you're a man. So it is very nice, very refreshing. That's something I like a lot about here. And the third thing I like the most is, to be honest, is the increase in quality of life that the country has afforded me just because I'm taking advantage of economies of scale. Now, when I say taking advantage, there's different ways to interpret this. I lived in different states in the US. The last one I lived at was Miami. Miami is extremely expensive. If you are rich, then yes, you can enjoy Miami very, very much. I'm working towards being rich. But at this point, or at the point where when I was in Miami, the prices were so high that it was really, really hard to develop myself in like socially, because it's super expensive to go out. You don't develop yourself in terms of your dating life because girls are only gonna go out with you if you're verified on IG, or if you were a Miami Heat player, or you had a yacht. And sure, it was good to be exposed to that circle of hustle culture and people who are really go-getters, and I do appreciate that. But it came to a point where I felt I was stunting my own growth by being at the right place at the wrong time, if you get what I mean. Coming back to Colombia, where I can take advantage of economies at scale, it's given me the opportunity to invest more into myself, my experiences, and literally my whole quality of life improved significantly. I'm way happier. I've done a whole bunch of more shit. I've gotten to meet more people, and it's also given me the opportunity to give back more, because you get to see the other side of a lot of things that we take for granted in the first world, and then you come here, third world, where most places don't even have AC or don't even have a dryer because they literally can't afford it. And it does give you a new perspective and appreciation for certain things. And it has allowed me as well to be more generous, just when tipping and things like that. So when I say take advantage, is not in a negative way. But yeah, I have to say, overall, I don't really regret my decision to move here. It's pretty nice. There's a bunch of other things that I like, but I just picked the top 3. If you're interested in knowing more about, in general, what it's like to live here, feel free to drop a comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you made it this far, I do appreciate it. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.